Today on Florida Sportsman Best Boat. If you're in the market for a poling skiff that can take the whole crew, we'll be taking a look at the Piranha Magro P180, a flats boat with an overall length of 18 feet, a beam of 7 feet 6 inches, and max horsepower rating of 150. Standout features on the Piranha Magro P180. Multiple live wells provide fishermen with plenty of space to keep a day's worth of bait. A large poling platform gives you a sturdy base to pull the boat in shallow water without the fear of falling off. Dry storage ensures boaters have all the room necessary for gear without taking up valuable space. For those who are serious about fishing, we'll be looking at the Dorado 25 flat deck, a bay boat with an overall length of 25 feet, a beam of 8 feet 4 inches, and max horsepower rating of 400. Standout features on the Dorado 25 flat deck. Multiple dry storage options give boaters plenty of space so nothing gets left behind. A second helm station gives fishermen the best ability for scouting and moving towards the fish. Multiple live wells provide more than enough space to keep your bait happy and alive throughout the day. If you need shade and tons of seating, we'll be taking a look at the WorldCat 280 DCX. A dual console with an overall length of 27 feet 6 inches, a beam of 9 feet 2 inches, and max horsepower rating of 400. Standout features on the WorldCat 280 DCX. Forward lounge seating provides a comfortable place to relax and kick back when the whole crew is along. A large shade top gives you the ability to escape the elements and relax in comfort. An enclosed head is essential when bringing the whole family on board for a day on the water. Join our hosts George Labonte and Rick Riles as they conduct walkthroughs and review key features, all to help you decide if this is the best boat for you.
Welcome to another episode of Florida Sportsman Best Boat. I'm Captain Rick Riles.
And I'm Florida Sportsman Boating Editor George Labonte.
Hey George, you know what these three boats we have today have in common? Absolutely nothing. We went from one end of the spectrum to the other.
We sure did. Actually, three really unique boats to look at this week, Rick. We've got, starting out with the Piranha Magro P180, which is a very unique boat. We're gonna go right into the Dorado 25 from there. And last but not least, the WorldCat 280 DCX.
George, starting with that Piranha, that certainly wasn't just another flats boat.
Piranha actually went to a really well-known boat designer, Chris Morjohn, for this hull. Chris has got a vision for the future, what he thinks skiffs should look like. This plumb bow is something that you probably are not familiar with, but very unique, really cool boat. I think the thing's got a future ahead of it.
I was really excited about that Dorado 25 Open. This one, they made completely open, which means no raised deck. That opens up a lot of possibilities of things you can do with that boat.
Yeah, you know what? You get carried away chasing a fish up to the bow and you trip on that step. And the guys really wanted it with a flat deck, so this boat is a flat deck version of it. It's very cool.
And WorldCat brought us a beauty this time.
Yeah, actually the 280. We saw the 280 CCX last year, which is the center console version. Well, the same hull, make it a dual console. We've got the 280 DCX, great little boat.
I thought all three boats were super. They certainly performed great. They each stood out in their own way.
They certainly did. Hey, we've got a lot to look at. Why don't we get started right now?
When we come back, hosts George Labonte and Rick Riles take a closer look at a boat designed for superior buoyancy and big water ability, the Piranha Magro P180. This segment brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO Offshore.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Best Boat. Join our hosts George Labonte and Rick Riles as they take a closer look at the Piranha Magro P180. Representing the flats boat category, the Piranha Magro P180 has an overall length of 18 feet, a beam of 7 feet 6 inches, and a max horsepower rating of 150. Designed for easy poling and outstanding stability, she has a draft of 9 inches, a dead rise of 13 degrees, a dry weight of 1,050 pounds, and a fuel capacity of 27 gallons. Now, let's hear more from our hosts, George Labonte and Rick Riles.
Cap, over the years, you and I have got to do a lot of boats together. The Magro P180 is not just another flats boat. I need you to explain some of the riding characteristics. How about starting with that bow? Because that thing's unique.
This is called a plumb bow. I mean, plumb meaning it's straight up and down. And you see this design in a lot of boats. Mostly you see it in sailboats, okay? It's a design that's been around forever. You haven't seen it in a boat like this. This design right here was really built to give the boat a lot of buoyancy. So this boat takes all this hull area all the way to the stem of the boat and provides a bunch of buoyancy. This boat is not going to go up and down and keep stuffing in a wave when you're sitting on that oceanside flat.
I'm falling in love with wider boats and a lot of beam. It makes so much stability. I was watching you guys move around.
Yeah.
Okay? You move around on a true technical poling skiff and somebody's corner's underwater. I mean, it's just the way they are. This boat performed beautifully even with people moving in it.
In addition to the benefits of having a lot more boat under you on a boat this size, having a boat this size gives you a lot more deck space to work with and a lot more room to put features on the inside of the boat. Let's move back here and have a look at a couple of them. In this big deck we've got room for not one, not two, but 3 live wells across the back of the boat. Now 3 live wells, that's pretty significant. You know, you think about that, and one of the things that makes it hard to have those 3 live wells on a flats boat is you're carrying around all that extra weight. Like we were saying, 3 tanks full of water, bunch more weight. A boat this size can handle that extra weight.
Spreads it out over the beam. But you know, you're talking about the back. I want to talk about that platform a little bit. Most people, if you haven't been on a poling platform, don't ever buy a boat until you've been up on it on the water. It's a dangerous place to be.
It can be dicey standing up there, and some of them they make now, especially on those little micro boats, are like standing on a tennis racket, you know. And you know, the guys at Piranha have got this figured out. You know, this is built for a man to pull a boat. It's not a kid's platform. They make plenty of real estate to stand on. Usually we see them with that backrest, which I like too, and it's stable. It's basically almost the full width of the back of the boat there. You can move around up there. You're not going to step off the side of this. I love the Piranha platform.
That's my point. Having that backrest there would make all the difference in the world to me. I'd never feel like I was about to fall off, is what I'm saying.
Exactly. But you know what they've done with this deck configuration? They've added real estate. I said earlier we want to make room for more people to fish on the boat, and you've got it. You've got that wide seat across the back. 2 big guys easily sit there. You can squeeze 3 across the back. They're not 3 big guys, but 3 people could sit there. And then another person sits comfortably in the front. There's room to put those extra passengers, and the boat's not going to need 3 feet of water to float in once you've done that too.
And you also know that you can fish 2 in the bow and 2 in the stern. So you've got the room not only for 4 people to ride, you got the room for 4 people to fish. And the boat's attitude, the way it sits in the water, you're going to be able to get shallow enough for all 4 of them to truly flats fish comfortably.
Okay, let's move to the front here. You've got that front seat up on the front of the console here now. Also, that's an insulated drink box, or an additional, that would make 4 live wells. It's plumbed as a live well right now, but we've got drinks in it today. Serves 2 purposes. Moving up onto the deck here, big deck space up there, easily big enough deck space for 2 people to fish next to one another. Underneath it, there's a giant hatch in the center. Now this boat carries 27 gallons in this model right here, and the batteries you need for your trolling motor sit in there. It still leaves a ton of room inside there for storing gear.
What's her true draft when she's loaded?
They were designing this boat and they were trying to achieve a 9-inch draft on the boat. They got it. It'll float and pull in 9 inches of water.
You almost hit on this boat's reason for being. It can take 3 big guys into less than a foot of water and allow them to fish comfortably. But it's got the dry ride and the big water capabilities to get there. If you have to cross a choppy inlet or whatever, it does a lot of things really very, very well. If you're a shallow water fisherman, if that's your happy place, and you want to take more than 1 person with you when you go back there, and maybe you've got some big water to cross to get there, you need to take a look at the Piranha Magro P180.
When we return, hosts George Labonte and Rick Riles examine a boat built for all of your fishing needs, the Dorado 25 Flat Deck. This segment brought to you by Engel, the best performance coolers on the market.
Wake up early on your days off. Go on an adventure. Get out on the water. Here at Engel, we live for these days. We think you should spend more time in nature. Let us help you enjoy it. For those that care about quality, who want to get out into the world with a confidence that their gear is going to stand up to the day's challenges. Engel coolers are built for you.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Best Boat. Join our hosts George Labonte and Rick Riles as they discuss the easy dockside serviceability of Yamaha's new 425 XTO outboard in this week's Power segment.
Yamaha has come up with a unique new system that's very clever for their new 425 V8 that's going to enable you to do fluid changes on the motor without having to get it out of the water. I'm here with Josh at Mariner Marine. He's the Yamaha tech. Josh, why don't you tell me a little bit about the system?
Yeah, one nice feature of the 5.6 liter XTO is definitely the dockside serviceability feature of this motor. For example, on a boat like this, a 376 Canyon, you can leave it in the water. It could be on your boat lift, whatever you prefer. We can come down to the dock. All we got to do is take the cover off. And rather than getting down there to the gear case and popping the drain screws and draining all your gear oil, we can do all that right here from these two fittings on the port side of the motor. These just pop right out of here. There's both a fill and an air for the vent on these. So you can actually extract all the oil through this fitting here with a vent fitting on here and fill it right from these two fittings. So it just makes it real easy and quick. And most of our boat owners have been happy with that feature. So
Fantastic. Well, Yamaha continues to make your boating experience easier and more convenient.
Now, let's check out the Dorado 25 flat deck. Representing the 25 to 28 foot class in the bay boat category, the Dorado 25 flat deck has an overall length of 25 feet, a beam of 8 feet 4 inches, and a max horsepower rating of 400. Built to fish inshore or offshore, she has a draft of 15 inches, a dead rise of 14 degrees, a dry weight of 3,500 pounds, and a fuel capacity of 90 gallons. Now, let's hear more from our hosts, George Labonte and Rick Riles.
Cap, let's face it, we'd be lying if we said we didn't have our favorites. Here we are on another Dorado, this one the 25 flat deck.
More people asked me about this boat last year than probably any other boat that we did. I've got a lot of friends that this is the ideal boat for. After spending a little time on it, I can see why. The original Dorados were built for a West Coast guide boat. I mean, they're very popular for that. Since then, they've expanded. I mean, you find Dorados all over the place. They're becoming very popular on the east coast of Florida and beyond, but they still haven't lost that West Coast style roots. The boat has a lot of features that you're gonna find really useful for coastal fishing, pass fishing, inside fishing, really cool stuff, and a lot of really cool new things going on this boat. It all comes down to the features on it. Why don't we take a look at some of them and really get into the nuts and bolts of it.
Listen, let me tell you why this bow speaks to somebody of my size, okay? You don't have a big, high, obtrusive bow. I love the fact that they kept the freeboard just where it is, all the way from the stern to the bow. George, I've seen some great coffin boxes on some great boats. I don't know that I've seen a better one than that one.
You know, a great place to have it too. I mean, the coffin box thing has been around for a long time, but it's really useful. This one doesn't take up any useful space in the boat. I mean, it adds a lot as far as somewhere to put fish, bait, food, whatever you want right here, and a place to sit too, but it's very easy to fish around it. Underneath there, Rick, there's a gigantic storage box that's on an actuator, electric. It'll pop that hatch up, remote, come on up, get inside there, tons of storage. Right behind that, where my feet are here, another big storage area, 2 big buckets in there, cast net sized buckets, plenty of room for other gear in there as well. There's also underneath this seat, which is a very comfortable seat, by the way, this is an insulated box. You can make that a drink box. It's also plumbed up as a live well too. You've got a 22 gallon live well right there. Plenty big enough to put a bunch of baits to add to your pitch baits up in the front as well. You know, like me, I think every boat like this has got to have a tower. It's necessary equipment. This one's got a great one. Why don't we move back here and have a look at it?
You're absolutely right, Cap. A tower is a necessity on a boat like this for guys like you and I.
It's the cornerstone of any kind of inshore, coastal, visual fishery. Think about how useful it is for visual. Okay, it's not just for seeing fish. You can see so much better in every way, inshore and offshore, and running in shallow water, just seeing an obstacle, something you're about to hit, or if the water's about to get too shallow when you're cruising along. Okay, let's move back to this helm station right here. Really comfortable, nice 2 across wide, all this custom upholstery on here. Very nice. Inside there on the back of it, you've got a tackle station, drawers, tackle trays, and underneath they've got batteries. All the batteries stored, trolling motor batteries, your starting stuff, your house is underneath there as well.
This is a boat for somebody who has had boats for a long time. This low profile console in recessed electronics. That's sexy right there.
Okay, talk about recessed electronics. Look at the box right here. For one thing, the deck you're standing on right here keeps everything in the shade, but if that's not enough, it's recessed and blacked out. You've got a 16-inch Simrad display in there, Bocatech switches, really nice. Another 9-inch display here and a 9-inch in the tower on top. When you leave the boat, Rick, you cover this up. This cover piece locks all the electronics in there behind it, keeps everything safe. Let's move back into the cockpit and look at the rest of the fishing area on the boat right here. All right, back here in the cockpit, Rick, what's the first thing that everybody notices when they look in the back of this boat? How about this giant 60-gallon live well? It looks like the Atlanta Aquarium back here.
How easy does it make for you while you're running to just turn around, check your bait? They're doing fine.
Yeah, you can definitely keep track of them, and you can put a ton of bait in there for sure. You know, another thing in the cockpit here, you've got 4 52-inch long insulated boxes back here. This isn't just a bay fishing or fishing up in the past for tarpon boat. You take this boat offshore and fish. I mean, here, East Coast fishing, this would be a great boat to go out and sail fish or dolphin fish on. Anchor the boat out and bottom fish. What a great cockpit to fish out of an anchored boat back here. 4 fish boxes insulated right there. You know, all the fish you could ever hold if that coffin box in the front wasn't enough.
How about the boats? They've done the same thing, George. This boat is dynamic inshore, okay? It's low gunnels, means a smaller footprint when you're in the shallow water. It's great offshore. You pick the right day, there's no limit to where you can go on it. It does so many things so well.
When we come back, hosts George Labonte and Rick Riles take you through a boat with premium style and exceptional comfort, the WorldCat 280 DCX. This segment brought to you by Suzuki Marine, the ultimate 4-stroke outboard. Welcome back to Florida's Sportsman Best Boat. Join our hosts Rick Riles and George Labonte as they check out the WorldCat 280 DCX. Representing the dual console category, the WorldCat 280 DCX has an overall length of 27 feet 6 inches, a beam of 9 feet 2 inches, and a max horsepower rating of 400. Engineered for the smoothest of rides, she has a draft of 14 inches, a weight of 7,250 pounds, and a fuel capacity of 220 gallons. Now, let's hear more from our hosts, George Labonte and Rick Riles.
We're looking at the WorldCat 280 DCX today, Rick, and you know, this is coming on the heels of a really popular boat for WorldCat, the 280 CCX, which we saw last year on Best Boat. It's proven to be a great design for them, and why not make a dual console version of it?
I can give you one very important reason for the success of WorldCat and why we're seeing more cats every year.
All right.
They're just doggone better looking than they used to be.
I said it last year at the boat show. This boat looks like a 57 Chevy. It's got the style of that old classic car. You know, think about it. That sheer line adds a lot to the sexiness of it, and that sheer accent on the side of the hull really continues that look. And you got the little tumble home back there. I mean, it's a curvy looking boat. It doesn't look like the square kind of boxy style that a lot of people associate with a catamaran boat.
And I tell you what I've really gotten used to seeing from WorldCat in the last couple of years. I love the grill. I love the bow with the WorldCat across the front of it. That looks nothing like the cats we were seeing 10, 15 years ago.
57 Chevy, man, I'm telling you. Why don't we climb up inside and take a look at some of the features on it?
Cap, I'll tell you one thing about this boat, and it starts up here, but you'll see it in all different areas. This boat's designed for somebody with more friends than me and you put together.
You got that right, absolutely. I mean, let's break it down here. Look at the seating, okay? I always say these dual console boats are broken up into 3 zones. This forward zone is the place where you entertain, hang out with friends. You know, look at the seating here. You've got seating for, what would you say? I mean, 6 or 8 people could move up in here, okay? Sitting around up here, you may be just hanging around, doing a little, you know, intracoastal cruise, for example, having a cold drink. They've got a drop-in table right here. You put the table in, you're out here eating lunch or dinner, a dinner cruise, a picnic area, if you will. Take that out, a drop-in filler piece with a cushion turns this into a big sun lounge. I mean, there's a lot of uses for it, but it all revolves around socializing.
And it all evolves around the fact that you cannot duplicate the amount of square footage up here on a monohull boat that you get with a cat.
Let's take a look at the middle of the boat. I always love doing the part of the walkthrough where we're in the shade. This hardtop right here, fantastic. You've got a tremendous amount of shade underneath here, which is awesome. And if it rains, obviously you're out of that weather too. It's covering up this entire center section where you're gonna be doing some of the entertaining you do on the boat too here. I mean, it's not all up there. You might wanna move out of the sun and come back here. Plenty of seating for a bunch of people right here too. Okay, one of the benefits of a dual console, you've got twice the amount of space, but importantly, on this one right here, they've got a head, and it's not just a head, it's a freshwater head in there, which is a huge thing. Do you know why?
I have no idea. You've stumped me completely.
When you let that water sit in that plumbing, that rotten egg smell and all the algae and stuff that comes out of there, that smell does not go away from a boat. And if you've got that going on in a cabin like this, it's not going anywhere. A freshwater head, you do not have that problem. All right, before we leave the comfort of the shade top right here, we got to point out you've got a nice little fresh air galley back here, Corian countertops, sink, cooler underneath to put your drink box. And you know, this is entirely a third separate area to entertain, but more importantly, why don't we move into the sun one more time and take a look at the back of the boat here. This is what impresses me about this boat as a dive boat. Look at this setup right here.
That's not a dive ladder, that's a dive stairway, isn't it?
You know, it's exactly what it is. I mean, they call it the on-ramp, and WorldCat, you know, they have hit an absolute home run with this. This is not coming out of the water on a ladder. This is coming up the stairs to get back on the boat. All this space between these two motors, people come back to the boat, divers are getting in, shut the motors down. No worries about getting near the props. And right here, Rick, there's a flip-down seat. You've got a bench, which you can use to take off your gear or to suit up before you go in the water. This is really, it's tailor-made for putting people in and out of the water. Another thing that we absolutely can't overlook, this boat with twin 200s, unbelievable fuel economy for this boat. I'm so impressed. I ran it this morning, and you know, running at 3,700 RPMs, 30 miles an hour, 2.2 miles to the gallon. That's good numbers for a boat this size.
There's an awful lot of things that this WorldCat 280 DCX will do, and do very well. You need a versatile boat, you need to check out this one. Boy, that was 3 boats that were a lot different, okay, that were a whole lot of fun to learn about.
Yeah, absolutely went across the spectrum. Hey, listen, if you want any information about the boats you saw today or any boat you see on Best Boat, go to floridasportsman.com.
Or we'll see you next week on another episode of Florida Sportsman Best Boat.
When filming for Florida Sportsman Best Boat, the cast and crew docked and dined at Pirates Cove Marina in Stuart, Florida. Family owned and operated, featuring 50 renovated rooms with an outstanding restaurant and a full-service 50-slip marina.